Hi, this is Adrian.
Hi, and I'm Cary. So today, this is a little bit different than we usually do. This is a topic that a lot of people ask me about, and so I wanted to do a special episode on this. And what this is about is what are and should I buy discontinued or vintage fragrances? So let's just ask what are discontinued or vintage fragrances? In the fragrance world, for a lot of different reasons, a popular fragrance may just start moving out of style, and the numbers on people buying it are going down, and so there's no reason for them to continue making it for very long. Or other things happen, like certain ingredients become difficult to find, or too expensive for the amount of profit that they're making off of it.
Or became illegal.
Or became illegal, which is a good thing to come back to in a few minutes. Yes, and I will touch on that. Or just taste change and they put it on the shelf for a while, sometimes bringing it back mysteriously similar but under different names. Okay. So, but anyway, a lot of time, basically what's happening is that the profit line on it starts dropping, and they no longer want to produce it and cheapen it by making cheap versions of it, or the bottles of low quality and stuff, to try to stay within some sort of a profit margin. So you end up with some people being really disappointed because a favorite fragrance will just disappear, and maybe they're only left with a bottle of it. Fragrance companies don't really say, hey, we're getting ready to discontinue it, buy it while you can. They just stop making it.
Like this one?
For a while, this one disappeared, yeah. This one came out back in I believe it was the 70s or something. It was a big favorite of people's.
What it's called?
Gray flannel.
Oh, okay.
And it's a big favorite of a lot of people, probably maybe a decade or so older than me. It's not really one of my favorites, but it's one that reminds people of fragrances back in the 70s. So a lot of people have it in their collection, but it'll just start disappearing. And so what do you do? In the fragrance communities now and stuff, especially if you watch YouTubers, they'll talk about some of these, or if you go on certain forums like Base Notes or Fragrantica, sometimes there'll be word circulating that something is going to be discontinued, and then all of a sudden online, through every place you can find to buy it, prices start rising or quantities go out of stock. And so you're left sometimes holding the bag where one of your favorite fragrances just disappears, and you're left kind of sad because something that you really loved, now you've only got a bottle with this much in it, and there's no way to get another one. For instance, this was always a favorite of mine. It's from the 90s, Havana Reserva. It was a really nice, spicy sort of a scent. Not a particularly beautiful or unique bottle, but smell nice. Nothing else like it out there. Smoky, tobacco-y spices and stuff. It was a little on the pricey side back then. I absolutely adored this, and when my bottle was starting to get down to about half, I went into the store to go buy another one, just to have it on reserve. And they were like, we don't have any more.
Oh.
I spent years looking for another bottle. Now I have a bottle of it. I almost never wear it, but I smell it because I just love it, and it's something from a time gone by. So,
when was that time gone by?
Oh, mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
Yeah.
What was going on? What was so popular with Havana?
Oh, it wasn't with Havana. It just reminded me of somebody who used to wear it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, wow, like memories are precious.
Yeah, and scents are very strongly attached to memories. A lot of times, for most people, scents can be one of the biggest triggers of memories of a certain time. So if you become really attached to a certain fragrance, and then it disappears. It's, for some people, a pretty emotional experience.
Can we talk about another one?
Yeah, this is one from when I was a kid, Blue Stratos. This was really big when I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
And definitely just
Wow.
reminds me of my youth. Now, in truth, this is not a great fragrance.
Okay.
Never really was, and it's still not. However, it did set the screen for several fragrances that followed after that are quite beautiful. And some people even say it may have set the line for blue fragrances.
Oh, because it's a blue fragrance.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it's a blue bottle.
it's a blue bottle.
Yeah.
But like, oh, it's not bad.
Yeah,
No, I mean,
it's not bad, but
if you appreciate for what it is,
yeah.
you know.
It's just not in line of today's fragrances. It's kind of just weak and a little bit blurry. There's nothing super distinctive about it. But if a person my age remembers this from back, the commercials that came out and stuff, there's this beautiful like sunlighted sort of a pool, and a tanned muscular guy diving off of the diving board into a beautiful pool, a beautiful like Chanel model type lady in a one-piece bathing suit with a big hat and sunglasses, looking so very, very sexy, and calls up memories of a time gone by. So anyway, where do you buy these things other than like, on the internet or something? You can't find them at most other places, or they're reformulations and they don't really smell the same.
Okay.
So, going back to buying discontinued or vintage fragrances, the difference, I guess, would be discontinued might infer something that is still around in new boxes, is somewhat plentiful, and you can get your hands on it for something close to the going rate, when it was technically not discontinued.
Do they always become more expensive, or somehow they end up in thrift shops?
Both.
Okay.
That's a good point. And I wanted to talk to our viewers and let them know that that's a thing. So something like this with the Havana, good luck finding it, period. I had to do a lot of footwork for a lot of years to come up with this.
And how about something that you can find easily?
Well, let me see. Well, this wasn't that terribly hard, because surprisingly enough, you can still find, a lot of people, probably my dad's age, that have a bunch of these that somebody gave them as gifts, and they've been sitting in their bathroom closet for 30 years or more.
And do you have one that may be found but it's kind of challenging?
So this is not actually a vintage one, but this is a good example of what it looks like. Koros.
Oh, okay.
This was big time popular in the 80s, and it has a rather distinctive smell. It kind of goes along with Dior Fahrenheit, and it has a fairly challenging smell to pull off then and even now. So we'll go into that sometime when we actually talk about these fragrances. But finding a vintage bottle of this it's easily doable, because this was such a big fragrance, and it hasn't been off the market for all that long. Well, it's on the market now, but the old versions of it and stuff haven't been off the market that long. But that's kind of one that's a little bit easier to come up with than some of the others, like I mentioned.
Okay.
When you're going out and looking for a vintage fragrance, what are the concerns? What can you think of?
I'm thinking like, okay.
Or vintage or discontinued.
Vintage or discontinued, more expensive. That's
Right.
my concerns. Like, am I paying, like
Way more than this is really worth.
Yeah, way more than it's really worth. And for me, since I didn't grow up with a lot of fragrances, I don't have kind of that attachment towards discontinued. It does pique my curiosity, But say there's a particular fragrance that I'm really attached to. I mean, just for a thought experiment, let's say it's Drakkar Noir, right? And let's think that if you cannot find it again ever again, and this is a fragrance that has been around for ages and stuff, and then they just say like, well, it's your great grandpa's fragrance, and
It's not
nobody
quite that
really,
great.
no, but you get what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, but you really like that fragrance and you want to be traditional, but they say it's just
Too bad, so
too
sad.
bad. Too bad, so sad. So, and then, okay, I'll think price is going to go up. And then the other thing is, it's like, I might get a knockoff.
Yeah. That would be, you brought up two really good points. A lot of times when a fragrance is out, there's certain price points that you'll see. We like to think of them as, what are the three different price points that we talked about?
Oh, value, quality, and luxury.
Right. Value is, something pretty easily accessible for like a high schooler or, a 20-year-old working a not great paying job. The next one is quality. Now there's quite a range there. That can range from kind of like twice the value price up well into over $100 or so. Examples of that might be something like the Dolce and Gabbana Light Blue Forever. It's pretty affordable, but it's certainly not a value fragrance as far as the price, but it's also not a luxury price either. It's in that kind of big range in there that, there goes from things that are good prices to things that are pretty pricey. Yeah, and then what's the other tier that, you gotta...
the luxury ones.
Right.
The one where Creed sits and Frederick Malle. So
Yeah.
and that one
When you start seeing this shape of a bottle,
Okay.
get your wallet ready.
get your wallet ready, but then could you get the knockoff of Creed?
Absolutely.
And this one is Orange Spice, right?
Right.
And it's been discontinued.
Right. This is actually a really good example of something that is a vintage fragrance or discontinued, depending on how you want to look at it. And it was an odyssey. This one's similar, but not quite as long of a search that
I
put
would
into it.
love to talk about this fragrance when we get the chance.
Yeah, we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, but
This we were
one-
talking about a price tier. You see this
it's
bottle?
not even have like the cap because
Yeah.
it's discontinued.
This one was discontinued. I had to do a search for it. I found it. It's the only one I've found in quite a while, and fortunately, I didn't get gypped. It was definitely a real thing. Yeah, unusual pickup there. Where should a person go to get discontinued and vintage fragrances? Well, it's kind of two answers there.
I mean, are you gonna play Russian roulette with this? Russian roulette?
I don't like to.
Okay.
I like to go safe with it. And so I'm going to suggest a few different straightforward ways that people can do this relatively safe. Most of the time when you're buying fragrances, with the exception most of the time of luxury or niche brands, there are some major licensed discounters. In other words, they have contractual agreements set up with the perfume manufacturers where they get pretty good sized shipments of them in, sometimes testers, things like that would, maybe not have the full presentation like the super nice box and the fancy cap and stuff. But you can get real fragrances, guaranteed real fragrances, for a lot less than you would get them in the store, like in Neiman Marcus or Macy's or something. So those are good ways to, if you keep your eyes on those websites or go on and do searches on them for things that are, you're getting the word are discontinued or that you know are discontinued, and sometimes a place may still have one or two. One way that I try once in a while is when I know something has recently been discontinued, go into the store and ask at the counter, do you still have any boxes of whatever in the store, possibly behind the counter, behind in the storage room, because when they're becoming discontinued and they're not a fast mover anymore, a lot of times whatever's in the store is inventory that doesn't go out on a sale. Sometimes they don't do sales on them, like certain Chanel and Cartier don't go on sale. They're the retail price or nothing. And they'll put them in the back room, and there may be still a few back there and you can find them. One of my favorite high-end designer fragrances I was able to find like that. It was actually, they had two that were back in the storeroom, and I just lucked out and asked somebody and they said, yeah, we actually do. And so I bought them. I don't know if
that's smart though. I mean, just sitting there wasting inventory space.
It happens though. I don't understand it, but that's kind of what they do. And then the other thing is, every once in a while you can find them at places like TJ Maxx or Ross or something, and then a lot of times they're just a ridiculously low price. A lot of times the box is damaged and stuff. Sometimes they've actually been opened and the atomizer thing has been pulled off or something like that, and you have to yeah. So this isn't a real great one, but this one was in a TJ Maxx, and then look at that janked up atomizer. You can't even look, it doesn't even stay on there. I've just saved it so that if I can find something that works, then we can actually salvage it, because it's kind of a nice smelling cologne. But yeah, that kind of thing will happen. You find it at places that are, like end of the road sale places and stuff, where you can get something for kind of like a stupidly good price. They're not always the best of colognes, but I mean, sometimes you'll find really high-end names there. So it's kind of fun. But one thing that I have to tell people to really be careful of is when you go on eBay, you just don't know what you're going to step into.
Okay, that's the Russian roulette.
That's Russian roulette. Now, how do you know if you're likely to get something good? Well, if it's a fairly big, you got to go down to where the seller is, look and see how many sales they've made, look at their statistics of positive versus negative.
And they have a reputation, they've been around for a while.
And then don't stop there.
Oh.
Go online and Google under Better Business Bureau, and Google under the storefront's name, because a lot of times you'll find some information and find out they do have kind of a shady record or something. Now, some of them are actually really wonderful. Like a place that I get things from once in a while on eBay, when I find either just pretty good prices on it or something that I couldn't find anywhere else. It's called Forever Luxe, and it really is a place I've had good luck with on eBay. But sometimes also, just random individuals that sell a few hundred things over a few years and stuff, they may have something that they get, who knows, maybe they rummage around at garage sales, or they try something and find, I don't like it that much, I'm not using it, I'd rather get my money out of it. And you get some pretty good deals out of some people like that. Here's one. This is a nice Chanel. In French, the name of this is Kiss of the Dragon. Pretty expensive. I'm sorry, I said Chanel. This is Cartier. Pretty expensive fragrance here. And you have to order it directly through their website. You can't really find it in boutiques. I found it online for well below what retail price is, and the person sent it in the beautiful box. It's absolutely authentic. I knew what it smelled like before I bought it and stuff, and I got it for a really great deal. So you can get great deals on things that are on eBay. You just have to be kind of careful. Basically, the rule of thumb I would say with eBay is, If it looks, and other kind of non big name discounters, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Now, an example of that, I was looking for Ralph Lauren Polo Supreme Oud. I found a few examples of that online for a couple $100 for a bottle like this. It originally was probably around maybe $90 or $100 retail. This thing looks like the real thing. You know, everything about this, even the box, looked absolutely real. You know, decent cap. You know, none of the Polo caps are great. But when I got it, what's that smell like?
Alcohol.
Just alcohol. Yeah.
It's just alcohol.
And turns out, you know, the merchant must have been getting a load of these things from Alibaba.
Oh.
I went and did a search on Alibaba.
Oh.
Yeah. Ralph Lauren Polo Supreme Oud lookalikes.
No oud on it.
No, nothing in it. It's basically just alcohol and maybe, like, I don't know, a drop of some other cheap fragrance so that you think maybe my nose is just out of order. So yeah, you can get totally ripped off. Another one from the same place, because when I saw that, I thought, oh, they've got good prices. Yeah, you recognize this one?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So basically, like, you're just paying
Nice.
for the bottle.
Yeah, you're paying for a relatively nice knockoff of the bottle. And with a bottle this complex, I think they're coming from China. And I think that somebody goes in and makes an extra run of these after the ones for the actual company.
And just fills it up with...
Fills it up with cheap alcohol.
Oh, wow.
And so, and even the boxes look great. Like, here's one, Dolce & Gabbana.
Oh, wow.
The one.
I haven't
Looks
seen
like-
this one.
Looks like the real thing.
Looks like
You know
the
what
real-
it is?
What?
Trash. It's alcohol, just alcohol and coloring.
Yeah, it's just alcohol. Wow.
Yeah,
They all
sad.
smell alike.
Yeah, they all smell alike. Basically, it's the same crap that they put in and maybe some food coloring to give it a color. But, you know, I keep these things basically as a warning. If the price seems too good to be true, it probably is. So anyway, you can get, for discontinued things, keep an eye on, you know, if there's something you really love, if your bottle's getting to half or something, and you know you'll wear it in the future, buy another bottle from a reputable source. If you can't find it anymore on your go-to sources, and eventually we'll start linking some places that like I use regularly and that I really trust. Fragrance by CA is a good place to go. Always good prices, fast shipping, guaranteed real thing. But get yourself a backup bottle if there's things that you truly love and you'd be sad to be without. And if you need to go look on eBay or something, do your research on it, you know, do some background looking, maybe even email the seller. But, you know, you're taking a bit of a risk. At least with eBay, usually there's a money back guarantee if something's a fraud. The other thing is, don't buy from places where it looks too good to be true, and it probably is. And if you do, don't be afraid to call them out, try to get a refund as soon as possible. Don't let it wait any amount of time, because then you won't really get anywhere with them.
Okay.
So we'll be back with some other special videos soon. And if you have any questions on these, let me know. We'll be glad to try to give you some more information. I realize this was a lot.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.